Hello, Nevada County. It's your friendly neighborhood political correspondent. It's the end of October, and this year, 2022, ends with an even number, which means the election is just around yon corner. You better have a big red circle around Tuesday, November 8th in your calendar, but, of course, as we're doing mail-in ballots these days, it's more of a deadline than an action date. I love democracy, and I love voting, being a proud member of the League of Women Voters of Nevada County. So today's definitely a red circle day for me because here, just in advance of Election Day, I get to interview Nevada County's own clerk recorder and registrar of voters, Gregory Diaz, about local elections. It's extra special because Mr. Diaz is coming to the end of a pretty long tenure with the county. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a fairly informal conversation, so I'd love to use your first name if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Do you prefer Greg or Gregory?
Greg.
Okay, I'm MaryJane.
Hi, MaryJane.
Okay, so how did you come to be in your position? So before you started, was there any special study you did? Did you study elections? Did you study clerk recording?
You know, I think it started with my childhood. I was raised outside of Philadelphia as a Quaker, and Quakers are, we don't think that war, fighting is a good answer for things. We think education is our top priority, and to get things changed, it was voting. So from 3, 4, 5 years old with the Quakers, that value, not an action or a behavior, but it became a value, was instilled in all of us. Went to Quaker schools, very active with registration drives, getting out the vote. Went to a Quaker college, Swarthmore College, and again, being very active in social justice issues as well. Decided to teach school. I taught in Philadelphia middle school for 3 or 4 years, then went to law school. And after law school, I was fortunate enough to get a job in San Francisco at the city attorney's office. And I was assigned to a real estate area. So I spent 4 out of my 5 days in the county recorder's office. So I was drafting pleadings and doing a lot of litigation work. And at that time, the recorder asked me if I would like to be his assistant recorder. So I looked at the money and said, yeah, absolutely. It's a nice little pay increase. And from there, I was fortunate enough to get the appointment for San Francisco County Recorder. I was there for 12 years in that position. I was with the city and county for 18 years and bought 10 acres up here. And a fella said, Greg, why don't you move up and run for the office? You know what you're doing. So I said, okay, I ran for the office. In 2006, I actually lost that election, very close, by about 1,000 votes. The winner, she left after about a month. After winning the election, she went to Rio Vista near the Bay Area, so I got appointed. Finished that term, and then I've been lucky enough to get elected 3 more times.
Gotcha. And so I know that you're coming to the end of your term.
Yeah.
You're on your way out. When's your last day, and who's next?
Last day is January 2nd,
Okay.
and my assistant, Natalie Adona, will be the next Nevada County Clerk Recorder.
Okay, great. And so she was just elected in June?
She was just elected in June by a wide margin. I believe she got 68%.
Okay.
It was a bruising campaign, as campaigns can be, but I'm so proud of her, and I think the county is in really good hands.
Okay.
Really, really good hands.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
So you came aboard in 2007.
Yes.
That's 15 years by my calculations.
Yeah.
How have things changed in the elections world in the last 15 years?
In terms of election processes, you know, California, we have the most voluminous election code in the whole nation. So many, many legislative changes. I guess the change with the most impact is everyone's getting a ballot now via the U.S. mail.
And how old is that?
That just came in last year.
Okay.
That's only 2 years old.
Okay.
However, Nevada County, we chose to go all mail in 2018. We were selected to be a pilot county in 2018. We pulled the trigger. much to the chagrin of some members of our board, but we went forward with the vote centers and vote by mail, and it's been very successful. Okay. Our participation is real high. We're always 1, 2, 3, 4 in the state. Our voters really vote in Nevada County. I think it has a lot to do with the education here, the money here. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to tell you we don't. Nevada County has a lot of folks with a lot of money. And the process now, we really worry about dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Observers used to come in, and it was kind of friendly banter, and we would explain what we're doing, and they're right with us. Now the observers come in for one purpose, to find something wrong, mm-hmm. so they can criticize. And that's a tough way to work. Yeah. It really is a tough way to work. Mm-hmm. But we're stronger than ever. This has really allowed us to develop a lot of confidence in the process because we're so mindful of everything. Mm-hmm. So we feel good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you said to the chagrin of the board, the change took place in 2018.
Yeah.
So the elections office is under the board, is that the Board of Supervisors?
Well, I'm elected.
Okay.
Yes, this is the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
So what they do is control our money,
okay.
the purse strings. They can't control how we conduct elections or how we do our job. The 6 elected officials have that autonomy. Only way to go if you're thinking about it, get elected. But I told the board I'm going to change the vote centers and we'd like some startup money. We needed around $150,000. And there was a disagreement. They were not too happy with that. I was still able to get the funding and we proceeded. I did tell them it's going to take 2 or 3 election cycles and then the cost is really going to come down 30 or 40%. So I was very pleased during our last budget subcommittee budget hearing. A couple members of the board hesitantly looked at me and said, "Greg, you were right. Thank you so much." So that was nice to hear.
It's always good to save people money.
It's good to save people money. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, curiously, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, and I remember back before mail-in ballots, I would take my kids with me to go vote at the voting booth. Yeah. And it's not quite the same to have them gather around the kitchen table and watch me fill out my ballot. Have you noticed this cultural shift in the office too?
I don't know. I think so. Families now are so, I don't know, what's the right word? Scattered, is it? I mean, do folks really sit down and have dinner all together these days? Not so much when I was growing up. I mean, we did 5 nights a week, 6, 7 nights a week. But now, a couple nights a week, families are lucky to get together, huh? So I'm not sure about that dynamic. If you want to vote together, you can. And families do come to the vote centers.
Okay, to drop off the ballot. And they have a great time.
Oh, they can vote there.
Okay.
They sit down at the table, they can vote, they tell the kids this is this and that's that, and it's great.
So in-person voting is still an option?
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Though we're totally mail-in.
Yeah. Actually, the way our system works now, and I keep on telling folks, I really don't have to say no to anyone at any time for any reason. You want to vote by mail? Great. You want to vote in person? Great. You want to vote on the sidewalk? Fine. You want to do, no problem. You want a replacement ballot? No problem. You want another envelope? No problem.
Making it easy for people to vote.
That's what it should be about. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
I got to get the young people.
Yes.
So give me some ideas.
Okay, we'll get on that.
For the young people.
Yeah, the ones that are passionate about it. I think it's reaching them and having their partnership in the schools. Yeah. So thinking bigger than Nevada County, what is your office's relationship with the California Secretary of State or the Federal Election Commission or any other agencies that you guys might interface with outside of Nevada County?
Yeah, we work with the Secretary of State a lot every week. We have meetings with them, especially during election time. As an elected person, my boss are really the people. But for elections, my boss is the Secretary of State.
Okay.
So they give us a lot of memos. They give us a lot of guidance. All 58 registrars and staff, we meet at least twice a month. So we depend a lot on the secretary for guidance. In the federal area, it's mostly cybersecurity now. It's become a real big topic. The feds are taking the lead under Homeland Security, and they've been very effective working with the state of California, and then it kind of dribbles up to the local election officials. But that's a threat, and it's something we shouldn't take lightly. I don't understand a lot of this cybersecurity stuff. I guess bad actors from all around the world are trying to hack into systems, so we have to be really vigilant about that.
So, are Nevada County's voting systems online?
No, nothing's online. Not one piece is connected to the internet.
So how would we be vulnerable to cybersecurity attacks if we're not online?
Well, that's the interesting thing. I believe we have ample safeguards. I mean, I'm not an expert, so I have no idea how they can come in. And I think a lot of the chatter out there, I don't think a lot of it is correct or true. Mm-hmm. I mean, we really do have some serious safeguards. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's really eye-opening though when you think about how we in Nevada County are susceptible to, China and Russia and how they might want to harm our elections.
Yeah, it's really true.
Here. Yeah.
It's really true. But there's also this misinformation, disinformation. There was something the recall election, and it seems so obvious, but they were putting out election day is Wednesday. So many people came on Wednesday because they thought election day was Wednesday.
Wow.
I mean, something as obvious as that. Mm-hmm, and it fools so many people. And what do you do?
It's like, oops.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so it's really kind of serious. People, I don't know, call us if you have a question.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of election security and election integrity, I know that you have written extensively about this issue as a kind of a community liaison.
Yeah.
I've read pieces by you in UBANet and the Union and Sierra Sun, just to name a few.
Yeah.
And I know that you've made appearances at local community organizations about this. So we don't need to rehash it too much.
Okay.
I would like to invite the audience to just Google Gregory Diaz elections integrity, and it'll be fine. But for the benefit for our audience, I was wondering if you could describe the journey of a ballot from its birth to whatever its final resting place is.
Yeah. Okay. So for this election, this is a general election. We have races for all the state candidates from governor. We have state propositions. And then we have all the local districts. And depending on where you live, you can vote in a district or not. If you live in Truckee, you can vote on the Truckee measure. If not, you can't. So we produce different ballots. So the ballot for Truckee is different than the ballot for the Nevada City residents. We have 52 different ballot types.
52?
Because we have school districts, we have park and rec districts, we have 29 separate districts, we have 52 different ballot types.
52, wow.
So we figure that out, and then we go to the address roll, and we figure out all the voters who are going to obtain a particular ballot type. We send that to the printer in Arizona, and they print this out, and then they mail it at E-29 days before the election. So that ballot we created gets mailed to you. You get the ballot, and you do whatever you do, but then you're going to cast your ballot. That means dropping it off at a vote center, putting it in the mail, or putting it in a little drop box. Suppose you put it in a drop box, so the ballot's there, and then we have two people who come to empty the drop box. And there's chain of custody. They're going to record the time. They're going to take out the bag. They're going to seal it up. And the seal has a number. They write down the number. They put in a new bag and they lock the drop box. They come to the office. They record the time. They record the seal number. What time was the seal broken? The ballots come out of the bag and then they make a count. So today, November 26th, we got 56 ballots from Higgins Dropbox. So that ballot is going to be with all those other ballots from Higgins. We're going to make sure there's a signature on it. Goes through our signature machine, whoop, and the machine is going to say yay or nay, but let's say it says yay. And then 2 people are going to get the ballots, and they're going to go over and precinct the ballots. I told you there are 52 different ballot types, that they all have to be put in order. So that takes a little while. We then get the envelopes and we put them through the envelope cutter. And then 2 people will extract, open up the ballot, you pull it out, the envelope goes to this person, the ballot goes to this person. There's a whole method for that. And then we put them in batches of 100. And then it goes through the scanner. And then a lot of people will put marks on the ballot or sign a ballot or try to erase something. So if the machine has a question, all those questionable marks come up on the screen. So that's called resolving. Our people have to decide. Did he mean Mary Jane, or Greg? And we will decide. It's a pretty easy process. And we have the observers there.
Gotcha.
And then the ballot goes into a box and we seal it. For federal races, our contests, we have to keep it for 22 months. And then we're ordered to destroy it.
Do you burn it or?
We shred it.
Shred it.
Right. Now what's happening is a lot of folks want to keep the 2020 election alive. So they're giving us public records request acts and taking us to court. So we were not able to destroy our 2020 ballots because of litigation, which has happened in quite a few counties. It's a way to keep that material there. Mm-hmm. They want to still keep it there because they think they can do something with it. Okay. So that's kind of the life of a ballot.
That's interesting. You know, I get notifications from the Secretary of State's office like, your ballot's been mailed. And I'm like, here it comes, and then it comes, and then I get a little notification that says, you've received your ballot.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's like they're in my mailbox.
Yeah, and I think the public likes that.
Yeah,
It. Now, I prefer put it in a Dropbox. I think that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But if you have to use the mail's pretty good.
Yeah. So you mentioned that people can go into your office and request a ballot.
Yeah.
Maybe they've lost it,
Yeah.
or do they need another one for some
Yeah.
reason. No.
Yeah.
So they give you their address, and you're able to bring up which one of those 52 they get.
Actually, the very first thing we do, we say, we mailed you a ballot, so we're going to cancel that.
Okay.
Give me your name and address, and then we find that ballot and we cancel it. So if the barcode on that ballot goes through our system, we will not count it. It'll get rejected.
Oh, gotcha. So it's like a canceled check.
So that's right. So we cancel the ballot first and then reissue a new one. And a person under California law is entitled to get 3 ballots. So we can do that twice.
Okay.
Okay. You get mailed a ballot, then we can replace it twice without saying we can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned when it goes through a signature verification machine.
Yeah.
And I love the sounds that you made. You're a born storyteller.
Well, this stuff is actually, I think it's from the FBI, the signature verification machine.
Okay.
It's from law enforcement.
Oh, okay.
And that they develop the algorithms and stuff, and the machine's pretty good. And the setting we have, we call around to the other registrar's office. Everyone's around 7 out of 10, whatever. Anyway, about 70% get through on the first pass, and then we do site verification.
Gotcha.
For the other 30%.
Okay. Well, that's a relief because I know that sometimes I'm like, and then maybe when I had first submitted my signature, I might have been more deliberate, or vice versa.
A lot of those that we have to have a person do, the signatures are so different. We make a notation and send a card to the voter.
Oh.
Update your signature, please.
Oh.
And then that makes it so much easier. Because when you sign at 22, and now you're 72, it's a different signature. I mean, it's just a different signature.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, I know that I have friends who mentioned that they didn't get their ballot. You know,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm still
yeah.
waiting for my ballot, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm supposed to get it last week."
Yeah.
So, what they can do then is go to your office, and you would cancel the one that was sent to them,
Correct.
and then they can request another one. No
Correct.
problem.
And if they want to vote in the office, they certainly can. If they want to take it home, we'll give them an envelope, say, make sure you sign it,
Okay.
and then they can do what they want, take their time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that I feel much more educated
And,
about what happens.
Now, I will say, we have 74,000 registered voters, so 74,000 ballots were sent out. Each election, we get between 4 to 5 undeliverables. 4 to
Okay.
5,000
Oh wow.
undeliverables.
Okay.
So we go through each one. People move, you know, elections is not on their first priority,
Right,
So
right.
they move and they don't let us know. And
Do the post offices forward those automatically?
no,
Okay.
election mail's not forwardable.
Okay.
So it all comes back to us,
Gotcha.
which is okay, because then we can double check.
Yeah.
If they moved out of the county, we can, you know, get a signed statement and erase them from the rolls. When people have died, you know, again, it's not like, oh, we gotta tell Greg someone died. So unless we know, they're still gonna get a ballot.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can come in and say, oh, he died. We need a death certificate. We need some kind of proof.
Right.
We just can't do it.
So, how, I guess that brings up the question is if someone tries to vote on behalf of a dead person that they've received mail for,
Yeah.
How does your office flag that?
Again, usually with the signature. Again, you're going to have to really forge that signature well. I'm not saying we catch everyone, because there's probably some good forgers out there, but what are you going to do?
Right, right.
You know, what are you going to do?
Does the Secretary of State have a list that they kind of push to you guys?
Oh, for
You
people
know,
who have died?
Right.
Not the Secretary of State, but the Department of Public Health in Sacramento. Monthly I get a report, and also the Nevada County Department of Public Health. We get weekly reports from them.
Gotcha.
And guess what? We read the obits. It's
I
amazing
see.
how
Yeah.
much we get from the
I
obits.
bet, yeah.
You know, that they don't tell us. So
Okay.
that's
Cool,
how we
thank
have
you.
to keep up on it.
All right, so the next question. We are living in what a lot of people perceive as hyperpolarized times.
Yeah.
And I know that there's been a lot of like threats to your office
Yeah.
lately. You mentioned that people show up to see if they can catch you, you know, doing
Yeah.
something wrong,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And and I know that you've had some hostile interactions with the public.
Yeah.
Is that common? Like in the last 15 years, has that escalated like now? Are you seeing a lot more of that? Or has it just kind of come with the territory of being an elections administrator?
Well, I think there's been a lot more. At the same time, I think it comes with the territory. Elections, you're going to have winners and losers, which means you're going to have happy people and sad people. And people react differently when things happen to them. It's really been the last 18 months, though, it's really been quite different, hard to describe. But let me give you an example. A fella came in, and my assistant was running for my job, and you have to pay to run for the election. So this guy says, I want a copy of Natalie's check, okay? County policy, pretty much policy everywhere. You don't give people personal checks. There's personal information on personal checks. Sir, go to the auditor's office and they can answer any questions you have about that check. 3 hours later, I get served a summons to show up in court the next day because I didn't give them a copy of the personal check. Now, the judge throws it out in 5 minutes. It wasn't even 5 minutes, but it was distracting to me and my time. I had to call county council. County council had to get all the facts. We had to get the auditor's office, when the check was cashed, blah, 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 and then show up for this hearing. I don't even know how much taxpayer money went into that for something that should not have been elevated to that level.
Did he have a camera on when he was asking you
No,
that?
he wasn't one of the
Okay.
First Amendment auditors. We've
Okay.
had them too.
Have you? I bet.
And I've had them in San Francisco. I've told staff, you know, they're just our customers, and it's a public
Yes.
space. If there's a confidential transaction, because I do county recorder stuff too, so if you buy a house and you have your deed, I'm not going to let anyone film that personal deed
Thank you.
of yours.
Okay, that's nice to know.
But I do let my staff know if you're uncomfortable, go in the back, but they can film. And it's funny because when you smile at them, no problem, yes, you can film, they don't like that. So they go away after 10 or 15 minutes. It's too easy for them, huh? So, yeah, they come in. But, you know, the thing with the personal check, and we're getting these requests that are more of a distraction. And I think it's part of some kind of playbook. I'm not quite sure what they hope to achieve. We're not really concerned with outcome. I mean, the outcome's the outcome. It's all process for me. For a chain of custody, it's all process.
Right.
It's not the outcome.
Right. So in the last 15 years or so, it's
It's worse.
worse now.
It's worse now. And boy, the 2024 election, I'm hoping we keep the democracy together. I'm very scared about it.
Yeah.
Because with our democracy, the will of the people is paramount. If more people vote for me than you, I win. But now they want to change it. So especially for the president, it's not popular vote, it's electors.
Right.
So if someone wins a popular vote, but the electors go to the other person, that's going to wreck the democracy. I
Right.
don't know how it can sustain itself with
Right.
that. Because why vote?
Yeah.
If that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a couple of those cases are up before the Supreme Court. The quote-unquote independent state legislature theory, that the
Right.
state legislature can do whatever they want, regardless of the vote of the people. And why the Supreme Court even accepted it gives me pause.
Right.
Really gives me pause.
Right. We'll be watching that one.
Yep.
So what about back in 2008, right after you took office? So,
When I first came, Nevada County was pretty red county. I think Republicans outnumbered Democrats by almost a good 20,000 people. And my first presidential election was 2008. And I think we all remember who won, but I can tell you Barack Obama won, and it was the first time Nevada County went for a Democratic presidential candidate. And so a lot of people were convinced it's because of that guy who just became our new registrar.
oh wow.
So
They blamed you, or they credited
they
you?
blamed me, and I had to get a lot of security, and even at the house, we had to get security. It was a little unsettling, but yeah, I was the reason Barack Obama won in this county. So, this is not my first time with a hostile public.
Right. And so in 2012, when it happened again,
It was just about as worth, because 2008 was a fluke, right? That was, you know, anything can happen. But when it happened again in 2012, people said, uh-oh. So it got a little hairy there
oh
for a while.
wow. Yeah, you've really been through some times. That's
Well, we all
interesting,
have,
yeah.
haven't we?
Yeah,
In our
definitely.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about your FBI machines and all those different machines that the ballots go through
Yeah,
during its
yeah.
life cycle.
Yeah.
Are you excited about any new elections technologies that are coming down the pipe? I mean, what really makes you kind of nerd out on the vanguard of elections?
Wow, good question. I'm really glad that everyone's getting a ballot by mail, I guess. I think that's great. I'm glad that if you're out of jail, you can vote. You weren't allowed to vote before, but I'm glad that's been expanded. I just think the barriers to voting, we shouldn't have the barriers. People should be able to vote. Boy, I wish I could say you have to vote, but you really don't have to vote. I wish people would make it more of a value.
Right. So what do you see as the barriers to voting?
hours of voting, not enough polling places, not enough vote centers. There are a lot of states, okay, I hired a person expressly for social media, disinformation, misinformation. Every day, if you see something, correct it. Pound away at it, pound away at it.
That must be a full-time job.
Yeah, and a lot of counties, especially across the country, they're just not doing it. And this stuff is just floating out there and people believe it. And it's unfortunate, but it's really deterring people, I think, from voting.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah. So how do you feel about ranked choice voting? I know there's been a big term lately.
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense, but I think it's hard for the voters to know what to do.
Yeah.
It's hard for me. I'm a registrar. I know a little something, and it's confusing. I know it's designed to save money, so you don't have runoff elections. But again, it makes sense. It's logical. I'm not a big fan.
Oh, you're
Not
not a
right
fan?
now.
Okay.
Not right now. It's too much confusion. And
Okay.
when voters get confused, they don't vote. It's funny because more of them don't vote than go to the phone to give me a call. If they get confused or if there's something, they have to expend a little bit of effort on it, I'm surprised voters will give up and what the hell and drop the pencil and they don't vote.
So that could be a barrier to voting, that confusion.
With ranked choice voting?
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Especially what's happening is, in a race, maybe you have one or two kind of candidates with name recognition, and there's 8 candidates on the thing,
Yeah.
and the one no one ever heard of wins. Excuse me, because you have the ranked choice voting.
Right.
People don't like that.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah.
They say, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you try to explain it to them, but they still don't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Nevada County is probably not poised to do ranked choice in the near future then?
I
That's what I'm
don't
hearing?
think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah. As hard as it was to get vote centers here, yeah, ranked choice might be a tad too far for this county.
Yeah. So let's say that let's pretend we're doing an exit interview of sorts.
Okay.
Do you have any feedback to offer the Nevada County public about how, as a community, it can support an even better elections process in Nevada County?
See, to me, with elections, the key term is participatory. Participate. Vote, at least vote, that's the minimum. If you have questions, give us a call. If you want to come observe, come observe. I'd rather not hear a lot of speech, a lot of stuff on social media. I want some action. Come in here and tell me why you said that. And I'll
gotcha.
explain to you why
Right.
maybe that wasn't true. So just as long as we're participatory, the county needs to make sure elections has enough money. I know a lot of our staff now, there's been a new bill, so a lot of our staff, they have registered as confidential voters.
Oh, okay.
So addresses are protected now from election staff and things like that. So the state and the county, they need to keep on putting money into elections, make sure our equipment is up to date, make sure the warehouse is up to date. Right now, in the Rood Center, we just don't have a lot of room. And a lot of the observers, they want to come in, but I have space for 3 or 4 observers, and they don't like that. We need more space. And hopefully that'll come, hopefully.
So what would be the best way for a citizen to engage in some oversight that would not get in your way, and that would be a healthy way to do that? And if they're seeking transparency or to see for themselves.
Come to be an election observer. We don't look at it like they're getting in our way, not at all. We need more people
Okay.
to come.
Yeah,
We
hear
need
that?
more conversations. And they want to go and yell at the Board of Supervisors, but they don't come up to my office to ask me the same thing.
Gotcha.
That's what we need.
Right. Yeah.
Unless, again, they have a different agenda, which I suspect maybe they do.
Right. Okay, so other than being like a consistent and peaceful and respectful voter,
Yeah.
how might members of the public take full advantage of the Registrar of Voters office as like a Gold Star citizen?
Well, if you get mail from our office, don't throw it away.
Okay.
Take 2 minutes to read it.
Okay.
And that's about all we ask. That's about all we ask.
Stay learned, stay kind of abreast and
Yeah,
educated.
vote, stay civil to each other, stay civil to our staff, and understand how lucky you are to be able to vote.
Yeah.
I think that gets
Most
lost in the
definitely.
whole fray.
Yeah.
We're really lucky.
We really are.
We
yeah.
really are.
So, so looking back, is there an election in the Nevada County, in your 15 years
Yeah.
of office that stands out to you as just a shining example of a well-done election?
Yeah, 2020 election.
Okay.
We had the pandemic. We didn't know what we were going to do. We had to find vote centers with ample space and room for social distancing. We weren't sure of the PPE, the protective equipment we needed. We weren't sure how to erect these vote centers. And from our messaging to the vote centers to the election itself, very smooth, really smooth.
Wow, it just kind of came together.
And we had a good result, and nothing was said about the election until 2 or 3 months later, when folks started to cast doubt on the process.
Gotcha.
But when it was happening, no one was casting doubt on it. And when we read the results, no one came to me and said, I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
It all happened 2 or 3 months later.
And this is the one that they filed the public information requests about
Yes.
now at this point?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're filing it now because
Right.
they know after 22 months, I'm going to get rid of the stuff.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
right at the last moment, they're filing it, taking us to court, and the court's putting a litigation hold on us,
Okay, gotcha.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I want to get rid of it.
yeah. I understand that compulsion. Just kind of get rid of the stuff.
Get rid of the
Get
stuff.
rid of the stuff.
Yeah.
So getting personal here, what
Yeah.
is a moment in your career that you're especially proud of?
A moment I'll tell you, okay. Way back in San Francisco, I was working in the city attorney's office, and they had made me the assistant recorder. And the court did weddings then, they did fictitious business names, there were a lot of things they did. We call them the non-judicial functions of the court. They were all given to the county clerk in the early 90s. And I had to draft the plan for that. So I did my best, and it went through the board, and I remember they gave me some city award, a Spur Award, a big prestigious award for writing it up, for executing the plan. So I think that was pretty cool because I think that made it possible for them to make me the recorder.
Oh.
They appointed me the recorder after
Cool.
that. So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's the end of our interview.
Good. Well,
And-
thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
If you'd like more information about the Office of the Registrar of Voters, visit nevadacountyca.gov/elections. For general voting and election information for the state of California, visit the Secretary of State's website, sos.ca.gov.
Good.
For federal level voting info, visit the Federal Election Commission's website at fec.gov. Are there any other
Very
websites
good.
to add to the
No,
lineup?
Pretty much covers it.
And if you have any feedback on this piece, please email me at ncnpolitics@gmail.com. It has been my privilege to be with you today. Remember, when it comes to politics, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. Thank you, Gregory Diaz, and thanks for staying informed, Nevada County. I'll see you next month with another special guest.
Thank you.
Yeah.